This broadcast will start in 10, 9, 8, 7, 6, 5, 4, 3, 2, 1. The Voice of Stockton. For more information on The Voice of Stockton, go to thevoiceofstockton.org.
The views and opinions expressed in the following program do not necessarily reflect those of KXVS, The Voice of Stockton, or its parents, affiliates, management, and staff.
And welcome to another edition of Tales and Tips. I am so honored to have with me Dee Yates, who's a photographer extraordinaire and the owner of Her Life. Welcome, Dee.
Thank you.
Thank you so much for being here today. I'm really excited to interview you and hear about how you became the owner of Her Life and what motivated you to become a photographer, and to give us an idea of how you see the world through your eyes when you're taking pictures.
Yeah, but thank you for having me. Do you want to know a little bit about the story, how I came about Her Life magazine?
I'd love to hear that.
Okay. So I think it all kind of started when I was really young. I had a love for magazines and photography, and I can remember hanging out with my best friend, and we would go through magazines and tear them out and look at them and pick through them and talk about layout, talk about photos, talk about lighting, talk about makeup, all the good stuff, and just kind of went through this love for art, photography, design. And I knew really at a young age that I was going to start shooting. I started shooting when I was about 16, 17 in there, and then went to college to study communication, media, and photography, and just took off from there. I think it was probably the first week of school that I came home and I said, Mom, I just love photography and I'm going to run a magazine someday. Don't know how, don't know where, don't know when, but I'm going to run a magazine. And she was like, oh, okay, sure, great, honey. So then I just kept studying and kept working, opened the studio, been shooting portrait and weddings for 17, 18 years now. And then it was in 2011 that I saw my first copy of Her Life magazine. And it was actually at the Vinyasa Flow yoga studio here in Stockton. And I was talking to Pam, the owner, and I said, what do you know about this magazine? This is beautiful. I love this. And she says, I don't know much about it. And I looked at it and I said, I'm going to work for this magazine someday. And it was about 6 months later that I got a phone call from a past client. And she called and said, hey, I got this new job with Her Life magazine. I'm doing sales, and the editor's looking for a photographer. She wants to talk to you. And I said, okay, great, So I kind of knew at that point, like, I was just supposed to be, right? Just falling together. And I met with her, and I kind of had all these notes, just like when I would pick through magazines as a young girl. I had all these notes about design, about photography, about layout. And though it was like one of those things, she was a little like, okay, this girl has a lot of opinions about this magazine. She still appreciated it because I was just being honest, And so I started shooting for Kimberly Mullen, who was the owner and founder, and we worked together for 6 years on the magazine. And then we had this moment in 2016, 17, and she says, I just had my third baby. I don't know if I could do this anymore. I think I'm going to sell the magazine. And I just took that moment, that split second, to say, sell the magazine to me. Let me make this easy for you. Sell the magazine to me, because nobody's going to love this magazine as much as I am. Nobody has as much heart in it as I do. And let me love it the way you did. And so she looked at me and just shook her head and was like, I don't think you know what you're getting yourself into. And I said, doesn't matter. I'll find a way. I'll do this. And we made that transition last year. So I've been at it about a year and a half as the editor-in-chief.
Awesome.
Yeah.
Is it what you thought it would be?
Yeah, it's a lot more than what I thought it would be. Yeah, I mean, it's everything that I thought it would be and more. It's a lot of work.
Awesome.
It's a lot of work. It's
anything meaningful, though, is a lot of work.
That's right. Yeah. Anything worth it, takes time and effort. And I just work really, really hard. I take it very personally to make that an amazing magazine still, because I have a lot to live up to, taking it from Kim Mullen, who thought it was, it was her baby, it was her voice, and so I take a lot of pride in that, and I try to make it as great as I can every single month.
Awesome.
Yeah.
So take us through the steps of what it takes to design an issue, getting the advertising, and kind of the timeline for doing things.
Yeah, I mean, we're monthly, so we're pressed for time all the time. We have around 80 advertisers right now, so they all have their own marketing plans. They have their own budgets, their own needs, and so we work through that as far as helping them design their ads, design their layouts, talk about plan, talk about rhythms in their marketing or seasonalities to their marketing. So we handhold that process.
But that's good support that
Yeah.
you have that many. That's
Yeah.
awesome.
Yeah, and we do a lot of design for a lot of our clients, and we have a couple of sales ladies that are out on the street working sales, but most of it I do, a lot of it I do myself. I'm out there making the relationships, developing the relationships, letting them know, hey, I'm from here. I've been from here for a really long time. My family's been here. You have me at your disposal anytime you need. So come see me. What can I do to help you? And as far as timeline goes, it's just always a rush, And then I shoot a lot of our features. So I shoot our covers, I shoot food, I shoot fashion. I'm out on the street doing a lot of the work, the elbow grease stuff. So, yeah, that's kind of how it goes every single month. I'm usually shooting at the end of the month, putting ads together in the beginning of the month, and then I get maybe a few days in the middle of the month to myself.
How many hours a day?
Right now, it's probably 10 to 12 hours a day for me.
And what would you say, besides your vision as a child, trained you, or what created the path for you to do this? I know you talked about looking through magazines and going through school, but it also sounds like you had an innate eye for what you wanted to do.
Yeah.
But what created the path, and how did you find the motivation to do this?
Yeah, I don't know if I actually saw it the way it is now, but I had an idea. And I will say that I have been raised to work really, really hard. And so I never really accept no for an answer. It's usually like, no, not now, or I reword the question until I get what I need. So I think being tenacious and relentless for whatever goal that is, I think over time I've had many goals, and it's just one step at a time, one step at a time, one step at a time. I didn't come from a wealthy background. I came from very, very little. I've earned every single dollar I have in every single way that I have, and every opportunity that I have, put myself through school, and created every job opportunity that I have. So I just think working hard and being relentless at whatever it is that you want to do is key. And then next to that, it's network, it's relationships. It's who can I call on if I need something? Can I call somebody? Can they align me with the right people? And that network is worth everything. Definitely. Especially if you don't have means to buy your way into something. You create relationships that last a lifetime.
And I agree with everything that you just said about hardworking and just being resilient, not taking no, and if it doesn't work one way, find another way to do it.
Yeah.
What would you say to young girls or families out there with young girls about how they can begin to get their foot into this industry?
In photography or media in general, I think when I have a young photographer that comes to me and says, what should I do? Well, I'm not like a huge advocate for free work, but I do think when you first start, you need to do some free things. And whether that's giving somebody free headshots or coming on location to shoot a property or whatever it takes to build that relationship, do it. It doesn't matter. It will pay for itself later. Somebody will reciprocate later. And if they don't, that's on them. But just do the work that needs to be done. People will appreciate it. People will offer you opportunities down the road. It might be 10, 15 years down the road. But do the work every single day to get to that goal. So if you want to own your own studio, if you want to be shooting, say you want to be a portrait and wedding photographer and you want to shoot 30 weddings a year, you need to start with a few free ones, right? Start there, start marketing your work, start building your relationships, go out and talk to other people in the industry, talk to bridal shops, talk to florists, talk to event planners, make sure they know about you, make sure that you're talking with them on a regular basis, and offer free stuff. Hey, how can I help you in your business? How can I be here for you? And they will reciprocate back in business.
And that's succeeding together. If you can create wins for other people, then that's a win for you as well.
Definitely.
And to me, with anything, the more that you practice your craft, no matter what it is, the better that you're going to get. We have a lot of amazing events going on in the city of Stockton and in our county where you could have the opportunity to shoot photography and just practice different things depending on what type of photography you're interested in.
Yeah.
Where did you go to school?
I just went to community college. I went to Cosumnes River College, studied the photography program there. Never left school without any debt, which I think is really
That's
important.
awesome.
Yeah. I see
unusual.
a lot of people come out of school with so much debt and they have nowhere to go and no application for it. You know, they just went to school because they were told to go to school. So for me, I knew that I wanted to study this. I couldn't afford art school. I couldn't afford, the university in San Francisco. I couldn't afford that. So I just started small and went through that program, and it ended up being one of the best programs in the state for photography. And so I studied under a lot of amazing artists and a lot of business people. And I've always been in business too. That's another reason why I was able to make a creative outlet a successful business, is because I have a business mind and a background from my family business and always working on my own. I've been in business for myself since I was 17, 18 years old, and I didn't really know a lot about what I was doing, but I made the mistakes. I went out, took the risks, and just kept learning, and aligned myself with successful business people and watched them, emulate them every day,
Any mentors you want to give a shout out to?
My mentors have always changed, but I had one mentor in real estate. His name is John Sump, and I sold real estate. I got my real estate license when I was 21 years old and sold for like 4 years. And that's where I got a big chunk of my background, was getting beat up on contracts, being young in that industry, being part of all the foreclosures and, the highs and the lows, and getting, learning through that process. That helped me in business and in a creative background. So he was a great mentor to me. Another lady, her name's Amanda McCann. She's very successful in her business. I emulated her. And then Sharon Camarillo, who's a professional clinician. She goes all over the world teaching people about barrel racing, and she made a huge career out of rodeo. And so it really doesn't matter, like, the background or the color, the creed, whatever it is. It's how they handle themselves in business. And if they've been successful, I want to know how you did that. And I want to watch you, whether it's sitting in a dinner and how they interact in business, whether that's on a phone call, negotiating a contract, whatever that is, emulating that business model so that I can implement it for myself and my business.
Awesome. Yeah. And life is its own school and its own journey.
Yeah.
And I think that's amazing to hear from you, how you took both success and failure in other industries and you're implementing it into what you're doing now every day.
Yeah.
That's awesome.
Yeah.
That's awesome. So how does the previous owner feel about what you've done with the magazine?
Kimberly and I are best friends. We're very close. We see each other all the time. We talk every single day. We were fortunate to do a business deal that was really good from start to finish. And it doesn't always happen that way, but it did for us, and we're really, really blessed. And I think that's because we had the ability, both of us, to be assertive, honest, straightforward, eye to eye. If this isn't working, then we say it's not working. And there were times where other people would get involved in our deal, and we'd be like, no, that's their drama that they're trying to create. This is how I feel about it. And she would come in, and we close that deal in a very streamlined, successful manner.
Awesome.
And we're good friends. And I call her when I get stuck on something, like anything, distribution, layout, an advertiser with a backstory. Hey, what do you know about this person? And how do you feel about this layout? And how do you feel about this image? And when I get stuck on an image, hey, which cover do you like best? and which elements do you like better, and what could I do better. So yeah, she's my mentor in a lot of ways. Though we're similar in age, she's been a mentor to me through this whole process.
Awesome.
Yeah.
And what have you changed with the magazine? What do you do differently?
The imagery has changed a lot. I'm working really hard to make sure that the brand of Her Life magazine is one that's recognized no matter where it is, right? So if you see the magazine and you didn't see the masthead, you know it's a Her Life magazine. And that comes with consistency on the imagery, right? So I've kind of taken that on, and I'm shooting all my covers, not because I need my images on the cover all the time, but because I'm trying to create a very strong brand recognition no matter where the magazine is. So I've been working on that quite a bit. I've also been working on like different features. So I'm working on different food features, and always working on spotlighting women that are doing amazing things in the community, either on the cover or within the magazine. So not a tremendous amount has changed. I've changed some of the themes. Like I started an art issue last year, which was really well received. We put Robert Kelly, his artwork on the cover. You guys probably know him. He's a Stocktonian, very proud Stocktonian. And an amazing artist, and I felt like there was room in the magazine to talk about art since we hadn't done that before. So I put one of his images on the cover. It was, like I said, really well received. People are still asking for those issues. And then additionally, I also put a man on the cover. So I don't know if you've seen that, but I put Zach Court on the cover. So, you know, he's developing a lot of the downtown, and some people say he's controversial. I don't really care about that. If it gets magazines moved and people are talking about the magazine, then I'm doing my job. So, and then additionally put
That's
his
awesome that
his
you're
beautiful,
taking risks.
Yeah.
That's excellent.
You know what? That's a huge part of being in media, is not being afraid to take the risks. And some people will say, whoa, I don't know if you should do that. And for me, it's like, no, I need to exactly do that because this is what I have to create buzz in order to get my advertisers seen by many people. Yeah, so I have a lot of stories
That's awesome.
like that. But yeah, you have to take the risk. That's the only way you stay relative in this business, is by being just a bit edgy. You know, I don't get too wild. I could.
If you don't change with the times, you stagnate. You
Yeah.
fall behind.
Yeah, the same is true in photography or media. It's taking that next step. How can I be different? How do I stand out? How do I make my brand
Relevant.
well, that, and just, you can't compare it to anything else. I don't want Her Life magazine to be compared to anything else. And so that's what I work at day and night, is how are we different? How are we standing out among other products, right? So
Awesome.
that's what I work to do all the time.
Awesome.
Yeah.
Let's back up and just talk about a couple logistics of the
Yeah.
magazine. Website, Facebook page, how does someone reach you? And where is the current distribution with your magazine, and where would you like to see that go?
Yeah, so currently we're in 1,300 locations in San Joaquin County and Stanislaus County. So we try to be everywhere. And if there is room for new growth, we're going to be in that location too. So we're always watching. I have my own in-house distribution team that I meet with every single month. And I have a designated person for designated areas. So they go out, they look to see if our demographic is in that location. They see if we have too many magazines, not enough magazines. Do we need a rack? Do we need to order more for this area? And so I really handhold that process, and it's been growing gradually as I've taken over. So it's not something you can just blast and grow immediately. It's something that really has to be watched, because I'm a small business. Every magazine that goes out is money out of my business. So I make sure that I regulate and watch that very closely. So overall, we have a readership of 120,000 women. And we have an online presence of 18,000 women that, or not women, I should say, we have men too, but readers that read online and on print. So we have a pretty great readership. Our social media is at Her Life Magazine Central Valley. Our Instagram is at Her Life Magazine. The website's herlifemagazine.com. So it's all pretty streamlined. If you get online and Google, you'll find all of our links.
Awesome.
Yeah.
And how many magazines go out a month right now?
25,000 is what we print.
And what would you like to see it grow to? I took a deep sigh
trying
with that.
to manage what we got now. You know, it's just like I said, a little bit at a time. Like we had an event, we have 3 events this month, and so I ordered 1,000 extra magazines. So as we take on new commitments, I order more magazines.
Awesome.
Yeah.
Awesome. And you mentioned that you have a demographic in mind. Talk about that demographic.
Yeah, I mean, our demographic is women middle to upper income bracket that are out active in the community and spending expendable income with our advertisers. A lot of them have to have, like, we have plastic surgeons, we have a lot of beauty, we have salons and spas and
wine.
Yeah, so much wine. Yeah, women buy 8 out of 10 bottles of wine. So obviously that's our demographic, women buying wine. So wineries is a great advertiser for us. Yeah.
And if there's a business that's listening right now or someone affiliated with the business that would like to get your magazine, how do they do that? Is there a cost to it?
No, there's no cost to it. Just route. If you have a large location, I will either bring a rack out, bring stacks out, whatever that is. If you're a small business and you just want 1 copy for your lobby, just a simple email to me. I'll put you on the email list or the direct mail list, and you'll get it to your office.
And what's your email?
It's dyates@herlifemagazine.com. So DEEYATES.
That's excellent. Phone number to your office. Where is your office located?
Yeah, our office is in the downtown Lodi area. And our phone number is 209-224-8810.
And what if someone wants to advertise in your magazine? Same contact information?
Same contact, yep.
Awesome.
Just give me a call at the office and I'll put you in touch with our account executives.
Awesome.
Yeah.
And let's talk more. You mentioned community several times. Let's talk about impact in the community and what you feel this is doing for the community, and if you're doing other contributions in the community.
Yeah, you know, before I took the magazine over, I was involved in a lot of different nonprofit and charity organizations, and I have found myself not having the time that I used to have for that. However, I help in other ways. So if I can donate ad space for a nonprofit or charity, I will. So if you guys are nonprofit charity, reach out to me. I'd love to help.
Awesome.
If they're
That's huge.
Yeah, if they're doing dinners, if they're doing some sort of fundraiser, whatever it is, let me know. And typically I will either donate the ad or donate magazines for swag bags, whatever that might be. So that's kind of how I help now instead of boots on the ground sort of work that I used to do. But the magazine itself, I mean, Kimberly started it when it was a really tough time in the community. You know, there was bankruptcy and foreclosure. I mean, even the city was filing bankruptcy here. And she came back to the Central Valley from a career in Kansas City and said, I'm going to start this women's magazine in the middle of a recession. And I know
Crazy.
Her husband thought she was nuts. But again, it comes back to network. She had a really lovely network and family here that supported her. And she just went to work every single day, all day long. And she started in April, went to press in June of that first year. And her goal was really to highlight some of these women that are still doing amazing things, even though there's this turmoil and all this tension and darkness and national news based around the valley and how terrible it is. She wanted to highlight what was amazing.
That's awesome.
That's where she started. And so for me, it's always that. It's how do we tell a story of inspiration? How can we help young readers? How can we help readers in general do what they're doing, and how can we tell a story that might spark some sort of inspiration? And how do we pick out women that are not self-serving but community serving, doing amazing things, you know, working in the community? So we handpick out of a slew of nominations we get every year. I mean, it's really tough. We get a lot of amazing nominations for women that are doing great things. And we have an advisory board, and we talk about it, and we kind of fit for theme and go through the month. And we're usually a year out, but we stay on track with that. How do we inspire?
Planning a year out?
Oh, yeah.
Wow.
I'm in July 19 right now.
That's awesome.
Yeah.
That's amazing.
Yeah. It's a lot.
That's awesome.
It's a
That's
lot.
huge. And in hearing what you said, look at the beacon of hope that she created, and you're carrying on the baton with that.
Yeah.
And you're just enhancing it in multiple ways.
Yeah.
Let's go back and talk about photography. I'd like to know if there was a specific photo that inspired you when you were little, what your favorite photo is that you've taken, and what photo that you'd like to take that you haven't yet.
Yeah, I mean, I studied a lot of photographers. I think this is an easy way out, but Annie Leibovitz is like everyone's favorite, but Annie's my favorite, She was really inspirational to me as far as like looking at magazines with her work, looking at covers. I could never get enough, and I still can't get enough of her work. And then when I studied fine art photography, it was Edward Weston and his desert nudes and his vegetable, he did this whole series of vegetables on silver prints where you can't even tell it's a vegetable. You think it's like a body. Anyways, it's it was really inspirational to me in the fine arts. And I always knew that I wanted to shoot women, that I wanted to shoot portrait work. And that's what I do. That is what I do. I shoot hundreds of women every single year. And over a long period or long career, I've shot a ton of women. I know them inside and out, and that's what I do. And what do I want to shoot? I am shooting what I want to shoot.
Awesome.
I'm touching the lives of women. I'm listening to their story. I see it in their eyes. I see it in their body. They tell me their stories. When we sit to do a portrait, a lot comes out, and I get to be close with those people. I get to be close with those women and really listen to their story. And that's what I want to do. I'm doing what I want to do.
That's awesome.
Yeah.
That's huge.
Yeah.
And are there other changes? I know we've talked about maybe expanding. Are there other changes that you'd like to see for the magazine?
Well, we're always looking for growth, because without advertisers, we don't have a publication. And I always say, this magazine doesn't belong to me. I'm a steward of the ship. And awesome. I might not always be that steward. It's one of those things. It belongs to the Central Valley. And I just lead the way. So we don't print without advertisers. So I'm always looking for growth, always looking for new advertisers, always looking for businesses that need to be in front of my demographic. And so if you do have a business that you want to get in front of this many women readers, if that's your demographic, if that's your audience, call me, because I would love to help you.
Awesome. And earlier you mentioned a committee. Did you want to give a shout out to any of your committee members or any of your coworkers?
Yeah. Sharon Baker helps me with a lot of things. She's with me all the time. She's one of our writers. She writes our garden article. She's also like a first touch point when somebody emails in and asks questions. And then I have Lori Woodard, who's one of our account executives, and Monica LeBou, who's one of our new account executives. They're helping me all the time. And then I can't do anything without my parents. They help me with everything. My mom helps me with all of my back office bookkeeping and accounting, and anytime I need help with that side of it, she's there. And my dad helps with distribution all the time. He's retired, so he's on the ground making sure my distribution's on point, calling me, letting me know if a location hasn't received their magazines, or if somebody has a comment, he's letting me know. My family is the core
awesome.
Of what I do, and then I have a son and a husband, and they're just emotionally supportive every single day when I'm ready to just fall over. Yeah, so family and a tight network, and then I have a ton of, most of my writers and my staff are satellite, so they won't really hear this anyway, but they're all very pivotal to what I do.
Awesome, excellent. Yeah. And anything that you'd like to add that we haven't touched on?
No, I'm just really, really excited to be here. I was really excited to be on the Eleanor Project and at their TEP Talk. That was really, really fun. I got to meet you. I got to meet all these amazing women. So I really appreciate that opportunity. I appreciate this opportunity. Thank you for having me. I'm always up for talking, for sure.
You're welcome, and you're amazing. And to me, what I love, and I touched earlier in the studio when you and I were talking, is that we have so much in our city and county and beyond to celebrate. And I love that the studio affords us this opportunity to highlight positive things, because we hear so much of the negative. And you talked about what the climate was like when this magazine was founded, and yet it was resilient through that and is growing, and you're just expanding it more and more and making it greater. And we just have a plethora of amazing people that we can celebrate, and things like the Eleanor event. That's why it's exciting, and it motivates people to be better and do things and be courageous and just do wonderful things. It's awesome.
I don't think we could do any of these cool things without the tribe that's behind us. I talk about that a lot because I don't do any of the things that I've got going on, I don't do it without a huge tribe behind me. There's no way. I can't. We're not able to do these things without network, without other like-minded people that push us through that. And that's why it's always so important to push others to where they want to go, help them get to achieve their goals or get to where they need to be. We work together,
Definitely.
Yeah.
And women, I love what you just said, because I strongly agree that women should support each other, don't fight each other, help each other succeed, and we'll make the world a better place.
Well, it's super important. It doesn't matter even if you're striving for a similar position. If you can push a woman up the ladder, so to speak, or get her to where she needs to go, I promise you she won't forget that. She won't forget that, and that opportunity will come for you. It's not about backbiting. It's about working together, and I feel like if women work together more often and push each other up and forward more often, then we wouldn't be behind so much. We would be running things.
Definitely.
Yeah.
Together we can achieve more.
Yeah, exactly.
All right, awesome. Well, I really, really appreciate you being here. I appreciate the phenomenal thing that you're doing for our county and to inspire and help women, and just your words of wisdom and hearing your story. It's very inspiring, and I hope it motivates other people that are listening to go out and achieve their dreams, whether it's in the photography field, media field, or anything.
Any field, yeah.
And I love what you said earlier about steps, because I couldn't agree with that more, that any goal that you have is far less daunting if you can break it up into steps and have little achievements over time. It becomes a huge achievement.
Yeah, it's one day at a time, but it's also doing something every day, right? It's small steps, striving towards a bigger picture, and just breaking that down and just not sitting still. Don't sit still, just keep moving. If you fall back a little bit, fine. Keep going, keep working towards that goal.
And another thing I love that you said when you were talking about real estate and some of the contracts, that you've made mistakes, and we all make mistakes. And to me, mistakes can be your best learning opportunity.
Absolutely. Absolutely. Because I think, especially in the creative arts and going into business in the creative arts, there's not a lot of business training that comes along with that, right? So if you want a career in the creative arts, you need to understand business. So find a business mentor. I don't really care what industry that is. Just find a mentor that will teach you about business, about finance, about credit, about contracts. Why is everybody so afraid of a contract when it comes to creative arts? It's like, no, you need that. This is still your work. Yeah, this is still what you've put out. So you need to protect it, and you need to make sure that you're wise to those things. And it doesn't come overnight. It comes from getting beat up and getting taken advantage of, or whatever that is, and saying, no, this is my work. It costs this, right? And this is the agreement between us, and not being afraid to stand for what it is that you're working on. And that comes from training. That comes from business training. And it's not creative school.
And confidence also. I mean, everything that you've just said, you exude confidence and the belief in yourself, and you wouldn't be where you are if you didn't have that.
Right. Yeah, I mean, it's a process. It's a process, but I can't say it enough. You have to find somebody that is successful, smart, that's going in that direction, and then emulate them, watch them, ask the questions. And, I said this at the Eleanor Project, don't be afraid to ask for what you want. Don't be afraid. Don't sit in the back seat to fear because you're afraid to say, I want that opportunity. Even if it doesn't come to fruition in that moment, you put it out there, things will move around to make it happen for you, or, the opportunity will start showing itself.
And I couldn't agree more. I mean, you need to challenge yourself to be better all the time. And if you're not making mistakes, you're not challenging yourself enough.
Right. You can't be afraid because you're going to mess up. You're going to mess up. You're going to mess up somewhere. You're going to misstep somewhere. But it's perfect for you. It's exactly what you needed to learn, right?
Awesome. Well,
Yeah.
thank you again for being here. I really appreciate you and your words of wisdom.
Yeah.
Any final thoughts that you'd like to add?
No, this is exciting. Thank you.
Awesome.
I appreciate the opportunity.
All right. And with that, I'm going to sign off. I am the voice of Stockton. You are the voice of Stockton. We are the voice of Stockton. Let's make it a great day.